welcome everybody. On today's show here on Around the J, we have two very special guests talking about one of society's most important topics, which is American sports culture. Let me introduce my two special guests at this very moment. Special guests? We got Mike coming in, and we got Anthony coming in, here from John Jay College. Gentlemen, how you doing? All right? Please take your seats. So how are you guys?
Good.
That's good. How about you, Anthony? Everything good? Alright guys, well, throughout this semester we've been learning about, a few different things here at John Jay in Professor Martin's class and McCormack's class about American sports culture. First, let me get your take upon, each class. What do you guys think of each class? Mike?
Well, each class, obviously English and ethics class, it's combined in everything. For English, we got to write about sports culture, and we have to describe how society is affected by it. And here we learn about the, from another perspective,
right,
view of all people in ethics. So it's mostly seeing and then we write it down, I guess.
So basically, reading text and stuff like that, analyzing stuff.
We look deep into it.
It's good. Anthony, what do you think?
I think it's good. We're examining sports images and we're going into great detail about it in ways that I never really thought of. And in sociology, in ethics, we're relating to whatever we're going over in English.
Right.
And it's different.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys. So do you guys think that, your writing skills have improved, throughout the course of the semester? I mean, I know it's a different topic, usually you write about, stuff that's happened in your life or books, but this is something a little different as we write about sports, football, basketball, baseball, all these different things, and gender and race. Do you guys think, your writing skills have improved, especially now that it's a different topic?
We are going deep into it, especially now there's 2 weeks left. We've studied pictures, which I've never done usually before, and commercials. And now there's a deeper sense behind what, is being shown. So yeah, it gives more detail into what, something that may only last for 15 seconds or just one tiny picture is so much to write about. Pictures has 1,000 words, and in this case it does.
It's definitely a challenging topic that we've never written about or even thought about before. I've never examined a commercial before. I never looked at the hidden meanings. I just took the commercial for what it was.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys a few questions, in relation to society and stuff. What athletes, in you guys' opinions, get paid the most, and in what sport?
Male baseball athletes are definitely the highest paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For example, Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees, he has a 10 years, $275 million contract. He is the highest paid player in baseball. Back in 2007 when he opted out of his contract. And now with Albert Pujols as a free agent, one of the best in the league, teams are going to go after him. He's going to get a really big contract for a lot of years because of how he's played. It doesn't matter the age. He's only 33, I believe, or 32. So, and baseball is a universal, not a universal, but in the United States, it's very, very popular.
It is known as America's pastime.
And it is known as America's pastime. It has a very long history, rich tradition, and many people love it, including myself.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the sport a lot too. But let me ask you this: both of these players you just mentioned are Latinos. Do you think that that has to do with their skills or the amount they're getting paid?
Well, I think their skill comes from how they grew up and where they grew up in a location where baseball was the easiest sport to play, and it was also the most popular sport in their area. They grew up in an environment where it's sunny 90% of the time, and that's perfect baseball weather to play in.
Yeah, I agree with Anthony here, especially in the Latino community. Baseball players reside from there. They even have a Latin American league that developed not even that long ago. And scouts look more into the Latino players because they're given an opportunity. They should be given the chance to try out for any team. And this is the case where social class comes in. And you don't see many African American players nowadays. Besides Jackie Robinson breaking the racial barrier for the Dodgers, nowadays it's more Latino players playing in the major leagues. Even I remember in like 2007, the New York Mets, every player on their roster was Latino except probably 3. So.
All right, but see, let me ask you something. If I'm not mistaken, Roberto Clemente from the Pittsburgh Pirates was one of the first Latinos to play baseball. Now, I believe it was a little after Jackie Robinson that he came into the picture, but he's not as recognized as Jackie Robinson was, and they both, broke certain barriers when it came to their race. Why do you think Jackie Robinson played a bigger role in breaking the barrier?
I think it was because it was growing up during it happened during the Civil Rights era, and African Americans getting the right to vote and all that stuff. It coincided with that, so it gained more popularity. But I do think that Roberto Clemente does have some popularity, though. I mean, he's famous for breaking the barrier and everything, and if I'm not mistaken, his number's retired and everything.
Yes.
Same with me. Jackie Robinson broke the racial barrier between blacks and whites because that was a very key issue back then. Roberto Clemente came in from another country. Back then, there were also no foreign players in Major League Baseball. Then Roberto Clemente came in, he just dominated the sport, just like Jackie Robinson did. In fact, they want to retire Roberto Clemente's number like they did Jackie Robinson's. They're still thinking about it because of how much of an impact he made as a player and as a person.
But it goes back to that, theory that he's not, it seems to be, if they haven't retired his number, that he's not as recognized, or not recognized, but he's not as, popular as Jackie Robinson. They retired Jackie Robinson's number, in a heartbeat, no questions asked. And if they're thinking about retiring, Clemente's number, and they're still debating it, I mean, doesn't that show, what's the difference? They both broke a certain barrier when it came to baseball, But, changing the subject here, society has this theory that African Americans are natural-born athletes. Personally, I disagree, but, what do you guys think about that? Especially that African Americans dominate certain sports like basketball, and they have, football players also who are very skilled.
Well, to me, I also believe that in order to gain any kind of ability, it's not genetics. Not really genetics. You have to earn your skill. I mean, if you see some athletes today, like their parents, they may not look like the athletic type. Mostly, you have to earn it. You can't just you're born greatness. Sure, it's a great motivation. But it's not a completely true fact. You have to work out here and there. I mean, especially with African American athletes with track and field and basketball, I'm pretty sure they had to grow up on the streets or practice on a basketball court in order to find a way to fit in.
Right.
And like that, you may be born with the height of a basketball player, but if you don't practice, you're never going to be as good to make the NBA or anything like that. But also, I think it ties into what we learned in ethics, where African Americans are good at sports because they feel like they have the need. They need to do better to overcome their racial barrier. Yes, discrimination.
There's a lot of minorities in this country, such as Latinos, African Americans, Asian Americans, but I've noticed that in sports, the majority, of the popular sports like football, basketball, baseball, is Latinos, African Americans, and you have the occasional white person in there, QBs or certain positions like that. But do you guys think that Hispanics and African Americans seek sports as a way out of poverty, those who are born into poverty?
Absolutely. I mean, if you practice makes perfect. For these athletes that came out of poverty, they well deserved it to make it that far. It's not like it happened in a miracle, and it had to go through steps, and it definitely takes years to accomplish the goal. So absolutely, it could be a way.
But let me ask you something here. There is, they are born into poverty, but there's also the academic, path. Why do you think they refuse to go down that path and, choose the sports path?
I think the sports path is usually the easiest way for them, and they feel like that's the way to make the most amount of money. Like when you have an option between making $50,000 a year as a teacher or something like that, or you have the option of making $20 million a year as a professional baseball player or professional basketball player, you're obviously going to want to be the sports player.
But you know, there's also a lot to consider, you know, such as injury. You know, you may think, oh, you know, I'm going to go into the sport and I'm going to earn my millions, but you know, a broken ankle, a broken finger can cause you from, you know, quitting that certain sport. So I mean, sometimes don't you think that maybe going the academic way sometimes a little more wise, if you will, because even if you suffer some type of injury, you're, you know, the intellectuality is still there and you're able to, you know, continue with that career.
It's definitely safer. I mean, that's why you see some people, some college athletes right now who they may be in the NFL soon, but instead of going to the NFL draft, they stay an extra year in college to make sure they get their degree or they get the academic experience that they need. Like Andrew Luck, I think he stayed an extra year in Stanford University, right?
Yeah.
So he could stay in college next year.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on this show, Around the J, with my two guests here. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Around the J, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, I'd like to introduce a very special guest from the audience, Chris Santos. Come on over, buddy. How you doing, Chris?
Good afternoon.
Not that I care. Anyway,
Okay, that's nice.
No, I'm just kidding. How are you? You good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, you know, a few more topics I'd like to touch up on here, guys. I'm aware that you guys are doing research proposals and research essays, right? I'd like to ask you each, you know, what are you guys doing it on?
Yeah, I'm doing mine on ticket prices, how it affects the fandom. You know, as fans, we want to go to any game we could possibly can for our favorite teams, or if you're just a fan of the sport, pretty much. So I'm just arguing, like, you know, if there's any way you could lower like ticket prices, even sports merchandise, excuse me. You know, it would help a lot of people. Plus, it's also like a dominating factor with white people are still able to afford this. You know, if you're in poverty and anything in the low social class, you just can't do it. I mean, like, that's pretty much it. You know, personally, me, I'm like, you know, I'm in the middle class. You know, my family, and I've only been to like one Yankee game in the last 2 years. So, and I wish I could go to almost every one of them, but I just can't.
But let me tell you this, you know, I've noticed, because I've gone to certain games as well, that it depends on how good a team is, you know? For example.
Actually, you know, I'm arguing that too. You take a team like the Kansas City Royals, who just are awful in terms of performance. No one's going to go to the game, their ticket is like probably $5. And obviously you go to Yankee Stadium, it's like $500 for decent seats.
But don't you think these, you know, lowering ticket prices will affect the team as well? I mean, yeah, it's good, you know, for the spectators, but, you know.
Like, that's the thing, you know. So also, the players' salaries have to come into this, and you know, you have to give the players what they want. You have to give the fans what they want, and what both of them want is a world championship or a championship. You know, just so we get celebrate as a unity, I guess. But you still want to give them the chance to see it live. It's much different seeing it live than just seeing it on TV.
Right.
So, I mean, like, you don't have like commentators in the background calling the game, and you can just see it for yourself. Like, if you want to watch it on TV, it mostly helps if you don't know anything about the sport. So that's what I'm going for.
It's very interesting. I can't wait to read that. What about you, Anthony?
My research proposal focuses on females as athletes, and I compare it to males as athletes. I went on to see how females are portrayed in sports compared to males, and females are portrayed in more sexual poses and in other demeaning ways compared to males. And then with the males, they're portrayed a lot more often than females. That's really the basis of my research proposal.
Do you think that, you know, do you find this appropriate, if you will? I mean, do you think it, you know, like, makes a woman seem like as
it's
very
definitely
unequal?
not fair, and they're objectified to the point where they're really just they're not considered at all, really. And that's something that our society should condone.
That's very interesting as well. What about you, special guest?
Thank you. Right. My research proposal focuses on female participation, and it's changed over time, as in recently, like from 2000.
Positively or negatively?
Excuse me?
Like, has participation increased or decreased?
It actually has increased. But I'm talking about from like early 2000s. So right now, it's in the making. So I don't have that much information on it. But I will tell you more as I find
But
out.
from what the information you have gathered now, do you think that the participation will keep on rising, or do you think it'll stay at the level where it is now?
I believe media and other things such as what he had said is a factor. So as things change, of course, participation may go up, or it may go down, or it may stay the same.
Do you think that socioeconomic status and stuff like that might play a picture?
Definitely.
Well, personally, I'm doing my research proposal on sports as status enhancers.
Mm-hmm.
You know how a lot of individuals seek sports as a way to become recognized, or to, as I mentioned to you earlier, a way out of poverty and stuff. But it's a lot of concepts to consider, such as socioeconomic backgrounds, race, gender, and grade level too, because it inspires a lot of young children as well, and that's what I'm focusing on, the younger children and how they see sports. But that's about it for our show today, ladies and gentlemen, here around the J. I'd like to thank my special guests, Mike, Anthony, and Chris, for joining us, our special guests from the audience. I cannot wait to see you guys later, so thank you guys for coming out and, talking to us. That's it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next show. Bye.